Okay, today we're here to do a heater install from a Viking heater into a Yamaha Wolverine. We've been saying we'd have this video out and we're going to try to get it to y'all here. But we've already kind of drilled the holes for the defrost vents left and right side. The kit comes with everything you need to drill those holes, which is really cool. You get the hole saws and the whole works. Some of the tools you're going to need for this job. Handy is a little Dremel with a little cutoff tool because we're going to be cutting out the lower cubby hole faceplate. We have got the heater bracket so far mounted with the defrost tube coming out of it. We've chose to mount it in this position so that the control knobs will be to the driver's side. The only problem with the Wolverine, there is a brace that sets in behind, as you'll see, and I'll show you this when we get the cubby cut out on it. This heater link here that actually controls the temperature will need to be removed. We already done one of these on my son's machine, and we chose to cut back the copper tubing a little bit in order to make enough room that it didn't actually hit here into the inner brace for the steering column and so forth in there. But we'll show you that later. We're to the point. We've drilled these holes out. I had to remove my lower windshield in order to do that and get to everything. Now we're going to end up, you have to pull your glove box or your center console box, I guess you would call it. That has to be removed, which is really simple. I'm sure that you probably all have done this if you have a Wolverine and so forth. Once you remove that, you are going to have two 10mm bolts in the back of the console on each side, and you are going to have some quick fasteners that run in the back and that do run along the sides. You'll need to take out this whole top console. Will need to be removed over the shifter so it gives you access down to the lower tunnel area. That cubby and the heater has to be removed. There's only enough room to get it past the lower tunnel area on the driver's side. Everything slides in and out there fine. The cubby that we're talking about is the lower cubby hole. Got the glove stuffed in there. And what we'll be doing is we'll be cutting this cubby out, leaving the faceplate here. You can see the 4 indention holes. They're not going to line up perfectly with the heater, but we're going to take it out along this edge right here so that we have a faceplate to actually screw the heater in. From here, we'll get back with you as soon as we get this console cover removed. Okay, we're back. We got the center console removed, which now gives us access to the air cleaner. The air cleaner has to be removed in order to get up into the tunnel area. There's only a limited amount of space to be able to slide that heater by. The air cleaner has 2 bolts that are kind of hard to get to. You almost have to have a swivel. If you look, they're down on the passenger side, and then I believe, if I remember correctly from this job we did, there's one down underneath on the driver's side. You'll have to undo your boot clamps. You may want to mark those boot clamps. I don't know if you can see, some of them have markings, but we kind of put a mark on them to line them back up because they are a angled boot clamp, and it will help in reassembly to getting your angles back the way that they were from the factory. Everything goes together better if you know the position of that rubber boot. We will remove the air cleaner now and probably cut out the cubby face before we come back and show you what everything looks like from there. Okay, we got the air cleaner removed out of the cavity. There is your air cleaner intake pipe, which that will have to be cut off up inside. We'll show you once we get the cubby out, or the cubby cut out, and we'll show you why that has to be removed. It doesn't allow the heater to extend into the cubby far enough. But the bolts on the air cleaner are kind of hard to see to get them in the prior video that I took of them. But you can see one mounts here to the center carrier bearing, which you can see that, but it's kind of underneath because the air cleaner sets on an angle. And then there's two back on the frame rail. You have to have a swivel to get them out. Don't forget to unhook your mass airflow sensor, or you'll rip that off. Be careful because some of these wires are easy to catch on it. I don't really like the way they have them laid out on this thing, just laying down there, but we may fasten them up a bit once we get everything back together. Okay, we got the cubby cut out. You can see it is falling down in there. Remove it right down the side of the driver's tunnel, and that's the same way that we'll put the heater back up in. If you look in here now, you can see the air cleaner snorkel that comes up and it flows back. If they actually would have redesigned that, they could have moved a little bit closer. It probably would have been able to be used with the heater, but in this case it has to be removed or the heater can't extend in far enough. And there is that brace right here that gives a problem that the heater will have to be slid all the way to the right in the cubby opening, otherwise your control valves hit that and so forth on the end of the hoses where they come out of the heater core. Okay, we've removed the snorkel for the air cleaner inlet. You just remove, I don't even know really if you'd have to remove this plastic cover that sets in here. You can see that, just the air cleaner's there. It just hooks in a rubber grommet. It's got a peg that comes down off the snorkel. And the whole snorkel assembly comes out. This is what the snorkel assembly looks like after the fact. We're going to cut that somewhere about an inch above the overflow tank, which if you look through there when it's in there, I had already put a mark on it about an inch below that overflow tank. You can see the snorkel really good there. Okay, here's the snorkel, and that's where we cut it at. You can see it's just a little bit below. There's a major indentation curve right here. We may try to hook this thing back up where in the location that it was in. The other model, we'd actually moved it to the right side of the under the hood, but we're going to see on this one what we can do. Earlier I was showing you this valve that comes pre-mounted onto the heater box assembly. This actually is, I'm not sure why they mount it there, maybe like I say for other models it's possibly, but this has to be taken off. This is too long, and this right here, and I'll show you here, is what hits into that brace, if we can get a good look in there, that is right there centered in the picture, and that will actually, the edge of that will hit into that. So we actually had to shorten. We'll cut these clamps off of here, and if you look at the Firestorm heater directions, they show it mounted and then they show you moving it over. And so you really need to cut all that loose, and it's going to have to sway over a little bit, which will be to the passenger side, and then you'll loop your other hose back in order to get the clearance that is needed. Okay, now we've cut this loose. We just took our Dremel and we cut them little pre-crimped clamps off. They give you plenty of hose clamps to do this job. This will be moved ahead and over a little bit. The hose will be connected on. It'll just come from here over, and then it will sway back and go down and hook into your left side is the hot on a Wolverine, and the Y that is supplied to cut into that will hook into that as so. This is your defrost vent that comes up for the Wolverine, and there's just enough clearance to clear that, and they come with a little tab on both sides of them right here with a screw hole in it. This is never going to come out where it mounts into the Wolverine, so we're not concerned with getting a screw in the back side of it, but on this side of it we've actually had to cut the little tab off to clear the cubby faceplate, because this is what will fit just into the faceplate. You have to drill 4 holes through the faceplate to get into this and mount it with 4 screws, which we'll show you when we get that done. Okay, we're back with this snorkel adaptation that we're doing in order to make clearance for the heater to reach back inside there in the cavity of the this little 3-inch duck was bought at AutoZone. I'm sure everybody carries them. It's like $21. It's got all the boots and everything you need. The finished product of us taking out this piece here, which kicks back the snorkel too far, we're going to change it with this flex tube. That kit comes with both of these adapters. We've chosen to screw this one on. We've siliconed inside and out up in both things so that it will be airtight leakage. And all that's going to do is flex enough around where the heater extends back into the cavity and hook back up to the lower air cleaner pipe that goes back down the tunnel.